Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm going to have a word with my wife about that. That's a very old photograph, by the way. This is what I look like now. Yep. All right. So I just want to, just before we get started, there's a little intro slide I'd like you to play, if you don't mind. All right. So it's not about the name. It's about that sound, that music, that song, right? So I asked them to play it up front because I thought it would just hype everyone up. If you're yeah, thank you. 2 people. Because if you're a fan of the show, then that music kind of wakes something up in you. Are there any fans of the show here? It doesn't have to be the South African version. Ons 5 mense. 5 mense. All right. So anyway, for the guys who are fans of the show, that music wants you to put a buff on your head. You just feel like you want to put a buff on your head and run around in a bikini, right? Well, board shorts. Board shorts for me. Thank you. Ladies and gents, good evening. It's such a privilege to be here tonight. I've already been blessed so much by being a part of this. I've only recently become familiar with LifeWork, and in fact, I wasn't scheduled to be the speaker tonight. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it was actually a good friend of mine and colleague as well, Heinz Winkler. He was going to chat, and Heinz's wife is expecting their 4th child, a little baby. It could be happening right now as we speak, and so they didn't want to take the risk. And another friend of mine, Frank Rodenbach, who spoke here last year, I think it was, he said to me, "Hey man, don't you want to fill in?" I was like, "What's it all about?" I couldn't wait to get up here because it sounded so fascinating. So I'm doing my part, all right? So have you got your phone here? Can we just do a selfie quickly? I just wonder if you can get it onto reverse mode. So I want to send Heinz a photograph. Yeah, I'll take it quickly. You can also just crouch in the photo, and then I'm gonna do that. Look at that. There we go. So if you can send that to Heinz and say to him, "I've done my job. They better do theirs right now as we speak." Okay. So they've got 3 boys, a little girl arriving tonight. We hope, tomorrow morning, we hope. Sooner rather than later, ladies, you know what I mean, mothers. I've already got 2 daughters, so been there, done that. He's got to get it done right now. So a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. I have no fear that you guys are going to fall asleep tonight because those chairs were designed to keep you awake. Have you guys? Huh? Hierdie mense is slim hoor. Ain't nobody falling asleep in these chairs tonight. Yeah. Everything by design. Ladies and gents, as you may have guessed, the topic tonight is about Survivor. And that's what it revolves around. But I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about myself quickly, just about my walk. I'm one of those people who at a very young age knew exactly what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives. And then forgot for about 2 decades. When I was 11 years old, 1984, someone came around to our school and they were auditioning parts for The King and I at the Pretoria State Theatre, and it was the packed production of The King and I with Joe Stewartson and Judy Page in the lead, great theatre greats, local greats, and so I auditioned and I got the part. It was a very small part as one of the princes, but big enough for the bug to bite. And so for the rest of my primary school career, every play that would have me, I was in. And I rocked the school speeches as well because I did not rock mathematics. So that made up for that. And then, of course, I went to, as you mentioned, Pretoria Boys High for my high school career. And when you get to Boys High, things change dramatically, okay? So there it was all about rugby and swimming and also learning to understand everything you could about the fairer sex, about girls. I was very good at the first 2. And then, of course, I thought that being a drama student would not really add to my social life, and so I kind of veered away from drama, and I kind of concentrated more on sport. And I was playing rugby, I was swimming, doing water polo, doing all those things, and I kind of lost what my true passion was about. And then I veered away from a lot of other things that I wanted to do as well, as you do in high school. There's so many distractions, so many things that take your mind away, and only years later, when I went to watch my younger sister, 8 years younger than I, in her school play, I was sitting there and she was on the stage and I was so proud and it was such a beautiful moment. She was one of the leads in this play, and it just dawned on me. I realized that was what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I'd missed what I was supposed to do because you see, ladies and gents, at that point, I'd studied business and I was a bodyguard. I'd done martial arts. I'd done all kinds of strange things, and then suddenly I found myself as the plant manager of a chemical detergent manufacturing company. So all I can say is I had veered very far off the course that I think God had set for me. And And I think the same is true of the way I gave my heart to Christ. I was very young. I was about 10 years old when I gave my heart to Jesus. And I remember I was visiting my cousin in Johannesburg, and we went, I think it was a Rhema church we were at, and they did the altar call, and my cousin and I sat there, we looked at each other, we were like, let's do this thing. And we went up to the front, and we were so taken up in the moment, and we gave our hearts to Jesus, and we were reborn right there and then. It was quite big, you know how the Rhema church does it. And when we got back to our seats, his mother, the look she gave us, she was fuming. She was like, wat doen julle? Wat doen julle? Is julle met jou mal? Dis 'n ernstige saak. And we were like, waarvan praat dan nie, ma? She's like, julle kan nie sommer nie, mense speel nie met sulke goed nie. And I said to her, listen, I'm not joking. I'm very serious about this. I was very, very serious about giving my heart to Christ. In fact, I can't remember one moment in my life that I didn't really honestly believe that Jesus was Lord, that He was like King. For me, it was like one of those things that you don't even think about. It was just something I knew internally. However, that did not stop me from, for the next few years of my life, just veering off the track completely and giving my guardian angels a run for their money. In fact, I think I loaned a few of the other people's guardian angels as well along the way. You see, after school, I went to the Navy. I did my national service. I was the last of the conscripted service. I went to the Navy, and we wore those white, lovely uniforms, and we looked incredible. I mean, it was the best dressed. Come on, military, come on now. And so I thought, okay, I'm going for the Navy, and I went to the Navy, and of course, all we did there really was we learned to iron, to clean, to polish, to tidy our tents. In fact, we learned how to become housewives, really. Which really comes in handy later in life when you become a parent and you've got to put hands on and now to this day I still do the ironing in the house. I do the sewing as well. I'm going to stop there because this is starting to sound a little dodgy. But you see, this is also where the trouble started, because just after the Navy, I became a full-time nightclubber. Really, that's essentially what I spent doing with my life. I grew up in Pretoria, and I don't know if any of you guys are the same age as I was. I was a class of 91, and there was a club called the Grand, okay? And the DJs at the Grand were some of the best DJs in the country. In fact, they were the ones who brought house music, with parties, who brought rave to this country, okay? And we were in with them. So when they opened the first big rave club in Johannesburg, called Fourth World, does that name ring a bell? I hope it doesn't. Oh, it does. Oh gosh. Right. We may know each other a lot better than we should be admitting. All right. So I was one of those. Okay, I was a Thursday to Sunday full-time employed by myself and paid only by myself. I made no money. I only blew it in the party scene. And we were good at it. I mean, you know, if you knew the people, we knew Tim White, Graham G-Force, all these amazing DJs. Do you know that some of them are still DJing? We're not going to go into it. 5 years later, my career as a dancer came to an end in a toilet cubicle, in a nightclub, on my knees, begging, praying for God to please save me out of this worthless lifestyle that had literally sucked me dry, that had stolen my soul, that had stolen my relationship. I was empty, I was broken, and I had so many friends, but none of them were, you know, we were connections, but we weren't friends. I was so broken. And I remember I was on my knees and I said, God, if I get up and I walk out of this cubicle, I'm going to walk straight back into this world and it's going to swallow me up. And I need you to do something. And I think, you know, I was crying. I was in tears. I was probably, my knees, it was tears mixed with someone's urine. And the point, it was dirty. You know these clubs, right? Yeah. So anyway, there I was, I got up, I opened the door, I started walking, I was heavy, and as I was walking, I just felt this weight start falling off my shoulders. Ladies and gents, I'm sure many of you this resonates with you. It's like I had turned in that moment, and for the first time in years, I was walking back in the direction that I was supposed to be walking. And it was such an amazing moment, because as I walked, I remember walking into the club, and one of my best mates, he was one of the only friends that I had. He was there and he was cooking up a storm, partying on the dance. He was like, hey, man, where you been? What's going on? Hey, we're having a good time. I was like, yeah, listen, I've got to go. He's like, what are you talking about? It's great. We're having a good time. He's like, no, listen to me. I've got to go. And he's like, what? I said, but you just got you. The party just... I was like, I have to leave. And he suddenly looked in my eyes and he knew exactly what I meant because we'd spoken about this. And this moment was coming. And I tell you, I walked out. And as I walked out, I just felt that weight just shifting off. And I got into my car that day in the parking lot and I felt like like I'd been reborn again. It was such a beautiful feeling. I felt powerful again for the first time, not by my own power, but of course by the Holy Spirit. And I tell you, within weeks after that, I decided, I was driving past a lamppost and I saw this advert, and the advert said, part-time drama class. And I was like, part-time drama classes? That's what I want to do with my life. That's what I've always wanted to do. So I phoned the number. The lady said to me, I'm sorry, we're full, but I can hear there's something in your voice. There's something, you can come in. You can come into the class. I was like, oh, thank you very much. I went to my dad. I said, Dad, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. Now, I haven't shared with you that the plant I was managing was my father's chemical detergent manufacturing company. My father is a Greek man. He said to me, you want to do what? I said, Dad, I want to become an actor. You want to become an actor? You want to be an actor? Where are you going to work? What are you going to work on? There is nothing. I said, 7de-Laan, Dad. You want to work in 7de-Laan? Where is this place? I said, Dad, you don't understand. Anyway, I couldn't explain to him. That day, I remember I rocked up. It was by die takkies grond. Ek gaan daar in and I see and I'm like, oh my word, here it is. What am I doing? My dad's right. I'm crazy. I get to the class, it's empty. There's no one there. I'm like, you see, that just proves me right. I shouldn't have come. I turn around as I'm about to walk out. Someone calls me from behind. Excuse me. I turn around. There's this arty-looking girl, short hair, lots of makeup. I'm like, oh. She goes, are you looking for the drama class? I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh, we've moved. We've gone upstairs now because it's so full this year. I'm like, yeah, that's because of me. She goes, oh, just come with me. And I'm like, oh, geez, all right, here we go. And I kind of dragged my feet in. I remember when I walked into the drama class, there was people were sitting in a circle and with chairs in a circle, and they were beating drums. No, I'm kidding. And they were sitting in a circle. And there was this beautiful blonde girl standing there, gorgeous, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And the light was coming in through the window, and it was shining on her. And she was busy introducing herself. And next to her sat the woman that became my wife. No, I'm kidding. I usually make that joke when she's in the house with me. No. There was this beautiful girl. Her name was Christy Botha at the time. And that is the girl that I would eventually end up marrying. It was also the career that I would fall in love with and kind of, in a sense, end up marrying. And it's so amazing because this happened within weeks of me turning around and walking in the direction that I was supposed to. And it was so incredible because I realized that no matter how far you walk, you see, God has a plan for each of us. He has a road. He has it mapped out that He wants us to walk. But He's given us free choice. So we have to choose to walk along that path. He's given us the materials we need, all the tools. But of course, with free choice, we often choose to eat the fruit on the tree, right? Of course, that's the nature of what we are. But the thing is, no matter how far you choose, because every choice takes you further, that's wrong. No matter how far you go, the minute you turn and turn back to Him, the minute you turn, it's like, whoa, He's standing right there. And He's like, what's up? I've been waiting for you. It's a long way back, but I'm going to walk it with you. And you know what? It's exactly what I experienced in my life. And I've got to say that it's humbling and beautiful and reassuring to know that He watches over us, that He's always there, just waiting for us to turn. And I think if you click to the next slide, for He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91, verse 11. It's one of those that I hang on to, and I teach my children that as well. Because I firmly believe, that His angels are watching over me, taking me through that world. You guys will know what I'm talking about. Just to have survived going through that is a miracle. And I thank God for that every day. And I think it's so important for us to remember to hold on to that. I speak it over my children all the time. And I've got to tell you about my grandmother. My grandmother used to come to me. She used to say, Nico, ek bid vir jou. Ek bid vir jou, mannetjie, hoor jy vir my? I'll be like, Oma, jy bid niks fine. Ons gaan net 'n kuier, ek's jonk, ek party. Ek bid vir jou. My grandmother prayed me through all of those years. And I just want to encourage people who are parents. The power of prayer, I'm convinced my grandmother prayed me through that. Obviously my angels as well. God uses people. The power of prayer. If you're worried about your children right now, if you've got children that you're worried about and they're in a bad situation, do not stop praying, I promise you every prayer is making a difference, and you're getting the host of heaven to come together like the day Elisha opened up his servant's eyes and said, look at this host standing before you. God, show him so he can see. But we have to activate that. I'm speaking a little faster as we go because we've got a little bit of time. And so what we're going to do later is you can watch the video and you can slow it down. Okay. So anyway, I've had some I've been blessed with an amazing career that's taken me all over. Don't make the mistake of thinking people in my industry are rich financially. But I tell you what, if you have God in your life, no matter what industry you're in, you are rich in the places that it counts. Matthew 6, verse 33, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first. Thank you very much. Yes, give him a round of applause. Yeah, not me. And I have that. I have a wonderful wife. I have gorgeous children. And I have a career that I love. And it's up and down. And when you're down, you remember that at some point you'll be up again. And when you're up, you remember that in one moment you can be down. Isn't that what you experienced? That's such a beautiful story. It resonated with me because God takes us into the wilderness, if he loves us, to show us that if we don't follow him, he will take it all away. And only once we've learned does he give it back in small measures that we can handle, because the only one who can handle praise, the only person, is God, right? So what a beautiful lesson you've learned, and I've learned, and so many of us in this room. Ladies and gents, let's get into Survivor, because it's such an amazing premise. It's such an amazing show. It's that for so many reasons. And I just wanted to tell everyone what I've learned in this game. It's such a microcosm of the real world, because these people go through such an incredible journey. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Survivor is basically a bunch of people thrust into a harsh, intimate environment with people from all walks of life, ages, demographics, faiths, cultures, everything. And they're forced to work together to achieve a common goal. And that goal, of course, is survival, and then to win the ultimate prize, to be the ultimate winner, survivor, and, of course, the money that goes along with it. Along the way, they have to lie, cheat, and steal to make it to the top. So basically, it's your average day at the office, right? Which is kind of what these guys at LifeWork are trying to change. So that's why that resonates with me as well. But suffice to say, it is a rough journey, okay? But it's like life. And I tell you what, it is tough. One of the misconceptions about Survivor, people say, is it really as tough as they make it out to be? Or is it coming out? And it's TV. You guys, there's obviously toilets and things, and you give them they can shower, right? There's a toilet, right? I'm like, it's not remotely as tough as it looks on TV. It's way worse. We can't begin to show you on screen how bad it is. It is rough. And you know what? The amount of weight they lose speaks for themselves. If you watch the show, look at what they look like when the show starts, and then a few weeks later, it's crazy. I know that's me, but you can leave that on there. So look at them. Look what they become. No. So what's amazing is it's a rough, crazy environment. The bugs are terrible. The mosquitoes, you think there are drones flying around you. If you spray mosquito spray on you, the mosquitoes come, they land on you, and they drink it. These are tropical mosquitoes, people. It's rough. They don't get bug spray. All right? There is no toilet. The weather is terrible. We have 5 storms a day sometimes because we go in rainy season because it's cheaper. All right? So the conditions, it looks nice and hot and tropical in the day. At night, it's raining almost every night. Everything gets wet. If you started a fire with your little flint, because that's all you have, if you get flint, for the first couple of nights, they don't even have that. To keep that fire going is impossible. So you're usually cold, wet, miserable at night. Am I messing with the mic? Is it popping a bit? Is everyone hearing me clearly? Okay. The hunger is terrible. They really get hungry. They really lose weight. And it messes with their mind. And it makes for great television. And then, of course, their clothes are dirty and stinky. Listen, I come out of a full day. I work I'm there for 39 days. I'm there for 49 days, and for 39 of those, 42 of those, we are shooting every single day. I have 4 days off, so I'm working every day because we only have one host. And the point is, I could complain, but I can't, because look at what these guys go through. They're there on this island. I come home after a day in the sun. It's hot. It's 40 degrees in the day. It's freezing at night if you're cold and wet. And you're sitting in the tribal council. It rains. We keep shooting. They put raincoats on the cameras. We just keep shooting because it's Survivor. And we shoot in the wind and the rain. And it makes for epic visuals. But the point is, you're freezing and cold, but you don't see it. I've got like waterproof powder that they put on my face. The water just runs over it. People are like, how does his face look so smooth all the time? It's like, it's makeup. Anyway, but not them. They're just wet and bedraggled, these poor people. And I go home, I have the warm shower. I stand in the warm shower, and I promise you, I do this every time. I pray, oh God, please bless those poor people on the island. Because then the storms come in, and it rages. And we're in a hotel room close by. Not a 5-star hotel. But anything with a toilet and a shower and an aircon is a 5-star hotel compared to what these guys go through. So anyway, I stand in that shower, and I just wash that dirt off me. They've got to put the same clothes on for 39 days. If you've been to the ocean, and your shoes got wet in the ocean, and you put them down, and tomorrow morning you smell them, cheese curls, people. Cheese curls, because the bacteria in the seawater just turns to the most pungent smell, and that's in your clothing forever, and they smell. And I got a whole tribe of them sitting in front of me, and the wind turns. I'm like, holy Lord, please help me through this one, because it is, And you can go back to the pic of me in the bamboo. There's sleeping arrangements, guys. These are thick. I laid down on this thing. Is the next picture me lying down? Look at that. That is not a comfortable face right there. That is the most uncomfortable sleeping arrangement, so they're sleep deprived. So we put them through torture, and of course what that makes for is highly strung people. It makes for great TV, but that's not what it's all about. The thing is, it prepares people to go on this journey, because in the modern world we build up all these layers of comfort, and the game of Survivor is designed to strip it all away. Strip it all away so that true character is revealed. And when that happens, it makes for great TV, but also people start finding out what they're really about. That's why most people enter the show, not to lose weight, as many of you might think, because it's a great way to lose weight. But sadly, they put it all on within 2 weeks and then some, because when you haven't eaten for 39 days, you don't stop eating for 69. So the point is, this game strips them, and then it slowly starts building them. It's beautiful, and I get to watch it quite intimately. Now, it gives us the opportunity as people who view the show, and of course us as producers who are behind the show, to look in and to see this journey they go on. And what it shows, because it's such a simple, it's a petri dish, it's a study, it's a human experiment, and what you see is simple rules that we forget in the modern life because we overcomplicate things. Simple little things that if you apply them back home, things that things that we've forgotten or that we forget about, that they make for a stronger tribe. Because you see, that's really what it comes down to. That back home, each of us is divided into tribes. You've got your family tribe. You've got your work tribe. You've got your culture tribe. You've got your sports tribe. You've got your international sports tribe. You've got your faith tribe. And you've got your friendship circle, which is a tribe. So we are tribal. That's how people are designed. And so it stands to reason that those rules would apply. But it's very interesting. People come into the show and they think that this is what it's going to be about. I think we've got a video on the next one. Can't even go and look for a fish in the water. That's Tony. And she's amazing. She's such an incredible human being. And she was broken there. She was so broken. She didn't come for that. She came for the slow-mo running, She came for the dun, 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 dun. And that's not what it's like at all. It's like that for a small bit of it. And I think you'll agree with me, is we always say the red carpet is this long. The rest is blood, sweat, and tears, and it's the same for Survivor. So, very quickly in this game, you realize that you need to hit the ground running if you want to keep going. And one of the first elements that you realize, and it's quite ironic, it's not lost on us, the irony of the fact that in a game of lies and deceit and subterfuge, the most precious commodity, one of the most precious commodities, one of the things you need the most, is the element of trust. It is a currency. It is so precious. When you find it, you are strong. And you've got to get it from the get-go. People come in and say, I'm going to wait a few days, suss things out. It's like, you are already behind, my friend. You've got to hit the ground. And you don't have years like we do in our family circle to build up trust, or with our friends. It's almost a corporate environment, because you get thrust into this team that you have to suddenly work with. You've got this project, and you've got to very quickly figure out who can you work with, who can you trust. And yes, we learn how to do that. We gravitate towards one another for various reasons. But in the end, you find that trust. And you usually find it with only a very scarce, very few people. And when you find it, you have to look after it. You have to protect it fiercely. The same is in the game. And it's fascinating because if you can grab hold of it, it's the one thing that can take you all the way through to the end of the game. Trust. And again, if you think about it, in life, the moment we wake up, the moment we open our eyes and we put on our social media or look at television, we are assaulted by a barrage of lies and subterfuge and deceit. This product is going to change your life. This chemical will heal your problem. This car is going to make you the most wanted man on earth. This shirt will make you look thinner. It's all lies. And then we lie to ourselves because we look in the mirror and we lie to ourselves about who we are. And then we get in the car that we can't really afford when we drive, and we're lying to people saying, look at the car I drive, look at footprints, and And so we also perpetuate those lies. And we don't do it maliciously. It's just the way we are because we're protecting ourselves. We build those covers. And so we live in a world of lies and deceit. And we as Christians, I think we can all agree that we find ourselves waking up and finding that we have to separate the wheat from the chaff on a daily basis. And it's a skill. And the only way to do it is with the Holy Spirit. So I find so much resonance with the game of Survivor, where you so quickly have to find within your little alliance things that you can trust, people that you can trust. And then you have to protect it fiercely, because you see, it takes years in the real world to build. It takes days in the game of Survivor to build. But it takes one moment of deceit to tear it apart. It can be the most incredible armor all the way to the end. Or it can be the weakest thing, because one little moment of weakness and that trust is gone. And usually you can never get it back. So I always say it's so important to remember that trust is like, in the game it's a currency, but in life it's that too. And we have to search for that, look for it. And it's something you give, because in order to get, you have to give it as well. So give freely and get freely. And do it with diligence, yes. And do it with the Holy Spirit, yes. But when you have it, protect it fiercely. Because every day of our lives is about making our way through the lies. And if you've got that one partner, that one person, that's all you need. In the game, it's great to have 5 or 6, but in the end, there's only 2 of you that makes it into that final. If you're lucky, 3. So even just one person makes you stronger. Kind of like a marriage. The best person in life that can stand next to you is your husband or your wife. Am I right? Do you agree with that? Your husband or your wife, because of the trust factor. And of course, the same is true of your friendships. And then that translates into work as well. I remember that one of my favorite movies is Buying the Car with Ryan Reynolds. And it's just a romantic comedy about a guy who falls in love with a girl, but he doesn't want to settle down, but he has to break away from that, and he's at that point in his life, and his mate doesn't believe in marriage. He's like, don't marry, dude, it's a lie. It's just marriage is for the birds. And this poor guy, he just dates girls every night. He's got the most beautiful girls, but every night he dates a girl and another girl, and he's always leaving them because, she smells a little funny, like mint. And the other one, why did you leave? Because she's got big feet. So he's always making up these terrible excuses for not settling down. And the main character, Ryan Reynolds, he so badly wants to settle down, but he's torn. And at one point, I think he's in a restroom, and he's at the urinal. Guys, you'll understand this, next to an old man. And the old man says to him, son, you know what the best advice is I can give you? If you ever find a good woman, marry her. And I'm like, oh. And I was unmarried and my American accent was much better back then. I was unmarried. I mean, I was single when I watched this movie, and I was like, oh, that's such great advice. When you find a good woman, marry her. And that's exactly what I did. It's life-changing. And the same is true in our lives. So protect it fiercely, and it extends to our family. And this leads to one of my greatest moments in the show, something else that I think we all take for granted. And one of my favorite moments is the family. You don't have to play it just yet. The family, when the family comes to visit. This is about 7 weeks in. People have, I see you yawn, that's fine. Just sit back in the chair. I'll say. Ek gaan jou wakker maak. Ek vergewe jou. 7 weeks in, these people are tired, they're hungry, they're missing their family, their children, their loved ones. They are so paranoid. Even the closest ally is someone who, because they're so paranoid at this stage, they're at the end stages of the game. With your teammate, with your ally, you've said, listen, we get to the end, it's each to his own, every man for himself, because only one of us can win. So now at any point the knives can come out. So you're so paranoid that even your alliance member in the game you can't trust. And every moment you're looking behind. These people can't sleep at night because they're trying to turn over the mechanics of the game. How do I play this game? Who's got their knives in for me? So they are so on edge. And then we have this moment. We have the beautiful moment when the family members arrive. Let's play that one. Isn't that beautiful? You know, it's the most emotional time for me on the show, and it doesn't look like it, but I'm also crying, but they cut away from me. What's so beautiful is when that loved one comes around the corner for the first time in 30 days, they see someone that they know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they can trust implicitly, that doesn't have it in for them, that loves them for exactly the person they are. And they realize, I tell you what, when you speak to them afterwards, the thing they've learned the most is just how much they treasure and value the people they take for granted back home, their family members, their wife, their children, their friendships. And when they see that person come around the corner, it's beautiful every time. I have not seen one person make it through without crying. It's incredible. And, you know, in the game, your value changes on a daily basis depending on what you can offer your tribe or your alliance. The minute you're not worth something to them, they will vote you out. And isn't it the same back home sometimes? In our corporate structures, we waste so much time on people that would drop us like a hot potato when we are of no more value to them, and we treat our trust, our alliances like dirt, and we put them on the wayside. And what I've learned, what this reminds me, this game every time, is just to treasure that and how precious it is. You know, I remember I was having video conferences with my kids, well, with my wife and my eldest kid when she was just like 3 years old, when I was doing one of the first seasons. And I remember we were on Skype, and I was trying to chat to her. Yeah, I'm trying to chat to a 3-year-old on Skype. It's just so impossible. And I'd spoken to my wife, and it's okay. And it's a good 2 months that one's away, and we're well into it. It's probably this stage. And I'm chatting to Eva, and she looks at me. She says, "Daddy, go, Daddy, go." And go means pick me up. And she puts her hands out to me to the screen. And I say to her, "Oh, baby, Daddy, I can't pick you up. Daddy, I can't pick you up, baby, because..." And she just looked, and her face fell. And I tell you what, I had 2 weeks left. For those 2 weeks, she wouldn't answer the phone. She wouldn't come to the phone. She wouldn't speak. And every time my wife said, "Don't you want to?" She said, "No, I can't. I can't talk to Daddy. It's too sore." And I realized in that moment, I can never do this again. And thank God, since then, every time I just take the whole family along with me. So I'll never do that again. Very blessed to be able to do that. And ladies and gents, one of the elements that this game can't do without is adversity. Adversity is what the game thrives on. In fact, let's just quickly look at the next slide. When all other avenues have been exhausted, in the face of adversity, it says at the top, you can't see that. In the face of adversity, when all other avenues have been exhausted, and passion is all that remains, true creativity is born, and adversity becomes the muse. What an amazing... Okay, I wrote it. It's not so amazing. In fact, it's so confusing, even I don't understand it. What it actually means is the next slide. 'n boer maak 'n plan. Okay. In this game, the people who make it the furthest are the ones who adapt with the game. It's the same in life. You've got to adapt. You've got to flow with it. You've got to change with it. In the previous season, Tom was the persona non grata from the get-go. People couldn't stand him. And he was one of those people, "You don't love me like I am, then this is who I am, and then it's your problem." And then he ate chocolate with his hands, which he also used to eat fish and dig and things and stuff. And Tom realized it wasn't hacking. He wasn't making it. And he slowly started evolving. He changed his game plan. He adapted to what was necessary. And he went on to win the thing. And you know what? He deserved it in the end. If you do disagree with me, we can have a chat afterwards. I'll tell you why he won. But 'n boer marks 'n plan. And I tell you what, one of the elements that really works well in this game, if you can go to the next picture. Look at that. That is a woman, by the way. I was wondering, should I put a man here or a woman? So I thought, but I want to take equality into thought. So I put a woman that every man wouldn't mind looking like. Minus the long hair, of course. So look at that. Look at this incredibly well-built individual. Look at this specimen, like Arnold as well. Look at the specimen. Well, you can attest to the fact that to get muscles like this, you have to, how muscles grow is you tear them. You break them down. Then they build themselves up a little stronger. Then you break that down. Then that builds up a little stronger. And you keep doing that process until you've got like a really traumatized physical body over there, but it looks fantastic. Well, that's what we do in the game of Survivor. The game breaks people down, but they come back to the gym and they keep building, and it comes back. When the pain's gone, you come back. And that moment you saw with Tony, that's when she was right down broken. And you see, the thing is, that was early on in the game. Tony's a very dramatic person, but she hit her low point, and everybody gets to that point, even the strongest players. And I tell you what, the sportsmen fall first because they're used to winning. They're used to, if I work hard enough, I'm going to win. But not in a game where you might be on a tribe with someone who shouldn't be on your team in a sports field, on a sports terrain, in Olympic Games, or playing for the national team. So you're as weak as that person. And so you lose, and people can't take that. And so it breaks them down. And then, of course, people have to build themselves up. Some people, small percentage, leave the game. But the ones who stay in the game, every morning they line up in front of me on a mat, on 2 mats, 3 mats, sometimes we got 3 tribes, and I look deep into their eyes. And I look deep into their eyes and I go, oh my word, I can see it, or I can't see it. And I stare and I can see whether they're switched on or off. And it's usually very synchronized with when they went through their lowest point, which I know about. We know what's going on in the game at all times. And it's amazing because when they're switched on, ladies and gents, you cannot switch them off again. No one can switch them on. In fact, the only person that can switch them off is themselves, or being voted out of the game. That's the only way to leave. Being taken out by the medical team or being voted out, because walking out is not an option. And if you walk out of Survivor, you are disgraced. It's like leaving the army for the rest of your life. The ones who stay and make it to the end, getting voted out or winning, those are the ones who win all the way. And it's the same in life. Sometimes we check out of our adversity long before we should. But the worst is when we check out of our adversity just before we've reached a victory. Because the next day, after that day, we had a merge. Tony found herself on a winning tribe, and everything changed. And the same is true in life. And it's so beautiful how this changes their lives forever. I remember Lo Venter. This is, I think, my last story. I remember Lo Venter is now an actor and a colleague and a very good friend of mine. He was one of our contestants in Mozambique. And I remember he just got voted out. He was so down. He was such a passionate player. And we were in a boat, and I usually ride on the boat with a person back to the mainland who just got voted out. And he's sitting there and he's looking out fiercely into the night. We had a full moon, a beautiful night. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, geez, what do I say to this guy? How do I console him? How do I say, hey, man, you played well, And then, hey, everyone gets voted out except one person. I'm trying to figure it out. And I think, well, let me start early. Let me start easy and say, yes, nice night, because he's looking out at the night. It's beautiful, beautiful moon. I say, yeah, it's a nice night, full moon. He goes, yeah, it's a perfect time to go catching crabs. I'm like, wow, all right. I mean, I did not see that coming. This is how this man's life changed. Full moon, low tide, you can see the crabs, you can catch crabs. These guys had paella every night because they won rice. So they were catching crabs. They ate better than the crew. And it was just so poignant for me because I realized how amazing this game is. It changes your perspective. One man sees a beautiful full moon in the comfort of his armchair, and the other man says, I've got to go and find food because, it's the perfect night for it. And it's so incredible. Ladies and gents, there's so much more I can say. But can we just look at the next slide? It reminds me of the story of Joseph. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. Joseph's story, it resonates with all of us because God let him go through adversity. He put him in a place where many times he must have thought he was left. God had left him in the hole and then in the prison. And then God slowly started to elevate him. But not before he realized, he knew that God knew that you were ready. Because this time when he elevates you, Joseph when he was born was elevated. He was born elevated. He was the favorite son. He had the favorite clothing. He had dreams about himself being a king. And let's be honest, he was probably quite arrogant about it, so much so that he riled these brothers up. And then God said, all right, I'm going to take it away from you. And he took him through the wilderness, your story. And then he slowly built him up. And I'll tell you what, when his brothers stood in front of him and he told them that verse, Joseph wasn't standing there in pride. He wasn't standing there saying, see what I'm doing. He was standing. Remember, he wept and he prayed and he praised God and he said, now I know. Now I understand. What they meant for evil, you turned for good. So ladies and gentlemen, I pray for each and every single person in this room to go out, take your adversity and turn it into adventure, because every challenge is an opportunity to grow, whether it's personally, as a business, as an entity, as a church. Without the challenges, we will flatline. You will die. Your spirit will die. So let's embrace our adversity and let's allow God and His Holy Spirit to take it to the next level, because greater is He that is in us than he that is in the world. In Jesus' name, I pray that over all of us, thank you for your time, and God bless everybody.